We are blessed that we could come through uh, with a word from the Lord this evening. Our topic, um, as we may all know, is resilience in business. It is resilience in business. Like I mentioned earlier on, I've been where I am for the past 25 years, self-employed, and after working for 1.5 years in the organization where I did just after university. I thank the Lord that for the past 25 years or 27 years in the work field, He's been gracious and kept me moving in my profession and in business. Yeah, in our topic has a key word in there: resilience. Resilience. And until we understand what resilience means, it becomes very, very hard to appreciate maybe the message this evening. I made attempts of defining resilience, and especially as pointed towards business, so that we can really get the context of our sharing of today. There are around 4 to 5, actually 5 definitions that I put out, but all of them are tilted towards business. The first one being resilience is about thinking ahead and responding to the possible changes to enable the business to survive and thrive in the business world. It also acts as a strategic enabler for business leaders. That is resilience. It's about thinking ahead and responding to the possible changes to enable the business to survive and thrive in a business world. It also acts as a strategic enabler for business leaders. The second definition that I have is resilience in business is the ability to withstand and recover from business trauma or stressful situations to the business, including adapting to changing circumstances and maintaining well-being through self-care practices. The third definition is business resilience refers to the business's ability to anticipate, prepare for, respond, and adapt to the disruptions to maintain its continuous operation. The second last and fourth definition that I have here is resilience in a business refers to the business's ability to bounce back from difficult situations and adapt to changing circumstances. The very last one is business resilience is about much more than weathering the storm. As Christians, when we talk about storm, I guess we have it well in context. It's about navigating through it to reach calmer waters. So, resilience, having been defined through those 5 definitions, I think we kind of like get it better into our minds. And so, in summary, we could say it involves managing risk and responding effectively to unexpected events that could negatively impact operations, such as emerging competitors, natural disasters, cyber attacks, or financial crises. I know all of us in all these different areas that have been mentioned here, you've heard of them happen here and there. And so when they happen, the businesses definitely get affected in a way. It entails the ability to welcome change and uncertainty as opportunities rather than threats, and to maintain a calm attitude in tough situations. Other than just throwing in the towel, resilience drives you on into those turbulent the turbulent storm to see you on the other side of the storm when everything has calmed down. It also helps employees, if you are in business and you're employing some people, to remain engaged and create a support network with peers in the business. So social networks further improve psychological resilience and create a positive work environment. We all remember where we've just come from. COVID in the past 2 years of 2020 and 2021, and also its effects running down into the following years, even up to now. You know what has faced most of us, and so it takes on that hard stance of resilience to walk through such a storm of joblessness, lack of essentials that we used to have before, and it becomes very, very hard to move on. So we all wish to start a business. I believe any one of us in this fellowship would wish to start a business if you haven't started one. That responds to the developments and the disruptions that occur around us well in advance. A business that can stand any kind of storm. So we all wish or want to be a custodian of a business which finds opportunities in terms of uncertainty instead of hitting a dead end. You remember how people made even a kill during the COVID period. Some services that were not that much required or essential became very, very essential, and people were involved in them would be called essentials. I wonder what the rest would be were in that case. But I remember how tough it was and how important it was to be called an essential, and how it made life so easy. So we all wish to be a custodian of a business which finds opportunities in terms of uncertainty like of COVID, instead of hitting a dead end of having our businesses die off. It therefore helps the business leadership to identify, that is resilience. It helps the business leadership to identify, minimize the risks, and safeguard against any challenges it might face at a global or local level to sustain and prosper amidst fluctuations and disturbances in the ever-changing business scenarios. We've mentioned about the COVID situation, but there are many other situations. You can imagine in our local context, people like in Bududa, people like in Kasese, who have been much affected by the slides during heavy rains, and so many have been affected, and maybe their businesses have had to shut down. So it is very, very key at this point to note a few things here. Keynotes. Some of the things to note are the businesses that succeed don't just have a competitive edge or a superior product or a management team with very good decision-making skills. In most cases, they are the businesses that faced significant challenges that forced them to adapt, shift their strategies, and grow in new and often unexpected ways. In other words, those businesses were able to march through because of their resilience. Right now, before COVID, we never used to have these online fellowships. But because when COVID came in and it was hard for people to meet, some people somewhere grabbed the opportunity, and alas, here we are, enjoying fellowship, some from their offices, but I imagine many from the comfort of their homes. something that never used to happen in the past. So the businesses that succeed don't just have a competitive edge or superior product or management team that is with good decision making. In most cases, they are businesses that faced significant challenges like we experienced in COVID, and so avenues like we are enjoying now were put out. Number two, employee stress and work-life balance. That is, if you are employing some people who support you in the business. Employee stress and work-life balance are two major issues employers or business owners face today. I will come up with I will mention a research that was carried up in America where it found out that 44% of workers experienced high stress levels, fatigue, and feelings of losing control at work. 44%. What a big number. So as jobs become increasingly demanding, stress at work is getting all the more difficult to handle. And since the intensity and the pace of today's work culture are not likely to decrease but to just increase, it is very important than ever to build resilience and ensure quiet thriving for your employees, if you have any that support you in the company. We've mentioned the case of America, which is almost 50% of workers that have high stress levels, fatigue, and feelings of losing control at work. These workers oftentimes are our foot soldiers. They are the ones at the forefront in the running of our businesses. Unfortunately, many of us who have held businesses, we don't give them the due respect or appreciate them enough. And yet they are doing such a wonderful job. And so the very reason that many of them run into the stress, the moment a person is stressed, even the productivity goes down. So we need to note that the comfort of our employers in the business place and the resilience that we are able to cultivate in them through feeling for them and really creating an environment that understands whatever they're going through and appreciate them will increase the productivity and the business will thrive, the businesses that we are running. Number three of those that we were meant to note. Generally, resilience mechanisms in a business positively correlates with better health, self-esteem, and job satisfaction. It also increases employee motivation and productivity. Yes, productivity, motivation, we've mentioned them a little earlier. So as when an employee or even the person, the owner of the business, doesn't develop the resilience that it takes to run the business or to output the work that has to, oftentimes people have gotten sick, people have lost self-esteem, people have been dissatisfied at their jobs. Oftentimes we think when a person has a very, very good salary, then they are job satisfied. Then they can have joy and the peace that that we all crave for. But unfortunately, that is never the case. So being able to cultivate resilience mechanisms in our businesses for ourselves and also the staff, it improves their health, it improves their performance, it improves their motivation, their job satisfaction, and productivity. So there are three core components that we need to look at that build business resilience. One of them, risk management. And the risk management starts with identifying potential risks and vulnerabilities through thorough assessments, enabling you to proactively mitigate risks and allocate resources efficiently to safeguard critical assets that we have. Risk management is very, very important. And it's one of the core components that will build the necessary resilience that we need in our businesses. Number two, adaptability and flexibility. In a dynamic business landscape, being open to innovation and change is vital. Other than shunning them and really having a frown face because they've come, being able to adapt and be flexible enough to change and look out widely to appreciate how you can survive the new storm that has come your way makes the whole difference. Adaptability and flexibility allows you to swiftly adjust strategies and operations in response to challenges and opportunities. They all come in equal measure to businesses, challenges and opportunities, but it requires one to be to develop a character or to develop that resilience quality of being adaptable and also flexible when changes or challenges or opportunities come. Then the third one of the three core components is continuity planning. Developing comprehensive plans ensures the continuity of the essential functions during disruption. I mean, we've talked about COVID. Minimizing downtime in case some fenestration came up. How are you able to adapt in time so that you minimize the downtime? And also protecting your reputation. Continuity in planning helps to ensure the continuity of essential functions during disruptions, minimizing downtime and protecting our reputation as a company. Because clients can easily lose trust and they say, okay, if it is, say, a bakery for bread, and then some challenge comes up, and then you're locked up for a week, what do you expect the clients to do? They'll definitely look out for other opportunities. And when they go out there, the opportunities are many, and they may never return even when we resume. So you must be resilient enough to minimize downtime, protect your reputation, and also be able to handle the disruptions in good time. Ultimately, you want to run your business no matter the weather, no matter the storm, no matter the good times. You want your business to keep running. Although it may seem easier said than done, it's not impossible. You can do it. Now, business resilience has a subcomponent called business continuity. We've mentioned business continuity up there. Business resilience and business continuity have similar concepts, but with different focuses. For instance, we'll mention business continuity as when a business can continually operate, even during challenging times or natural disasters. It involves having plans and procedures in place to keep operations running normally while maintaining exceptional customer service. That is business continuity. For example, a small retailer might stockpile supplies to ensure it can fulfill customer orders and have alternative sources for materials in case of supply chain issues. Now, when it comes to business resilience, on the other hand, it goes beyond simply continuing operations during hardships. It involves a company's ability to adapt and recover from disruptions, not just surviving, but recover. Ensure that you can continue to thrive in the long term. Like the Bible talks of a good parent who is able to pile up riches for their grandchildren. In the Old Testament, they talk of that a wise parent is able to pile up riches for even the grandchildren, not just the children. So that takes on resilience. Resilient businesses are better equipped to handle unexpected challenges and are more likely to emerge stronger from them. When a challenge comes, just like us Christians, we talk about it. In Romans, Paul talks about it, that we should actually delight in our challenges because they build our character and they build our hope. There are a number of things that are mentioned that are built in us. So let's look at challenges positively, but we can only look at them positively if we are business resilient, if we build up the resilience that it requires. One reason is because those companies that emerge stronger out of a storm or out of challenges, one reason is because they adapt and innovate in the light of adversity, other than throwing your arms in the air, saying that now I'm finished, now I'm dead, let me look for alternatives of other businesses. This has happened to me in the past 25 years I've run business. And you get that temptation. But thank God I never threw in the towel and I'm still moving on in it. So for example, business may develop new processes or procedures to manage supply chain issues. You could be having a chain of customers. So you could develop a chain. It could also create additional sources of income, such as offering online services. And again, back to the COVID time, people are just trading online. So when adversity comes, we should look for that silver lining that is in them. What new products can I give out? How can I reach my clients? We've talked about the online thing. Nowadays, meetings globally can happen online. A person in Japan can be in a meeting with a person in America, something that never used to happen easily before, but now it's happening. Why? Because COVID was in place at some point. So, in a way, you can consider business continuity a specific subset of business resilience. It is just a small component into business resilience. While interconnected, business resilience and continuity have distinct goals. Business continuity ensures operational consistency, that if I was baking 1,000 loaves of bread a day, they must maintain that. But while resilience readies you to anticipate risks, that okay, the products are changing, the raw materials are changing, they are maybe becoming pricey. How can I minimize on the costs of the products? How can I manage the cost of production against the high costs of inputs in my production or in my business? So resilience readies you to anticipate risks, respond to threats, and secure long-term success. And looking at whatever you're faced with as something that is just temporary and will soon be gone if you hang in there. So business resilience examples, we've mentioned some, but we've talked about the COVID-tested businesses, large and small, and only the resilient made it out. There are some businesses that even began in COVID itself. I'll give an example. In March 2020, research had it that the pandemic shattered over 3 million US businesses during the lockdowns, and roughly 400,000 closed permanently by June 2020. And guess who fared worst? The worst, the small business owner. Those who fared worst were the small business owners, because oftentimes the small business owners don't plan for their businesses. Like we normally call it here, mere ya lero. What I get in the day is what I eat, and then in the following day, I just open up without any specific plan, without even a short-term plan, leave alone the long-term plan. And yet the big businesses do that a lot. COVID came and COVID went. There are some companies that now devised that people can work from home some days and a few days in the office. And yet they stay interconnected and even maybe output better. So businesses can only thrive when they develop that muscle of resilience. Why is resilience very important in the business? Some of its importance has been mentioned before, but in a marathon, I'll mention like around 10 of them. Ensuring long-term prosperity for the business. That's when we've discussed it. So that you're not looking at a company, okay, let what I'm doing just push me through the year without any plan for the following year or the other year. I really envy the Indians in their businesses here. Even the whites back in their countries. I envy them. The Indians, they start a business and they don't start it just for their lifetime. They will start it for generations to come. Unlike for most of us, Africans or Ugandans here. So let's try our level best to emphasize this importance in our businesses, the importance of resilience to ensure the long-term prosperity of our businesses. Number two, respond and not react to challenges and adversity. The reacting of throwing your arms up in the air that I'm finished, throwing in the towel and trying to look for something else. No, respond to the challenge. Don't run away from the challenge. And the moment you are able to stand the challenge, like we mentioned before, oftentimes you come out stronger. Number three, bounce forward in times of disruption and uncertainty. Bounce forward, don't bounce backwards. Otherwise, you will lose it. Number four, improve productivity at work. We've talked about those that employ people, that you devise means of having these workers happy at work, and for sure they will perform and increase on the productivity. Also make the environment good. It can mean providing them break tea. It can mean giving them lunch. It can mean giving them health care. Number five, a healthy and engaged leadership and managerial team. Where you don't bark at your workers and where you connect with them, where you are empathetic to them. So be connected with your workers, not just a boss who sits up there and you don't understand what they go through in their production in the business. Number six, mitigating financial loss. Your business continuity efforts act as a safety net, facilitating swift recovery to prevent prolonged downtime. A solid plan is essential to minimize disruptions to critical functions and ensure financial stability, mitigating financial loss. Nowadays, there is a lot of cyber fraud. How do you mitigate it? That is very important to consider in your business. Number seven, build customer trust. Nowadays in Uganda, back in the 80s and 90s, when you'd walk in the banks, you'd find people who are full of customer care. But nowadays you get to a counter in a bank, in many banks, and you're never even greeted. The person may not even look at you. They're just looking at the papers that you're presenting. That customer care, the customer trust, that care that brings the customer very, very close to you is very, very important to build. So both concepts assure consistent service delivery, even amid disruptions. A person may be able to come back to your business, even when they know there are challenges in there, because of the relationship that you've established with them, because of the trust they have in you that you won't cheat them, however much you're going through challenges. So business community, continuity sustains commitments and service levels, like we've mentioned, bolstering customer confidence in your reliability. Number 8, minimizing operational disruptions. Business continuity is vital for maintaining ongoing operations during disruptions. It focuses on developing plans, processes, and technologies for rapid delivery, like we've mentioned about the online businesses now. And normal activity resumption, curbing the impact of any disruption. Number 9, preparation and response. A combination of proactive and reactive strategies are integral to comprehensive preparedness. Business communities continuity forms the core of a comprehensive resilience strategy. We've mentioned it as a subset. Facilitating seamless responses to disruptions. Resilience, on the other hand, empowers you to proactively tackle a broader range of challenges. The last one, competitive advantage. Integrating resilience and continuity fuels adaptability and innovation. Organizations with well-defined strategies gain a competitive edge, responding to market shifts with agility and capitalizing on growth opportunities. I keep telling my staff that we should always be unique. It is your uniqueness that will draw somebody to come to you and pass another service provider who may be providing the same product and come to you. And sometimes it means even miles. A person may be in Gulu and the product is there in Gulu, but they say, no, I'll travel to Kampala so as to get the product from so and so. And they will pass so many shops. They will sacrifice a lot of time. They will sacrifice their money because they have a trust in your product. Therefore, how does one grow to create business resilience? To establish a comprehensive resilience, follow a systematic approach that considers potential risks, vulnerabilities, and strategies to ensure uninterrupted operations. Number 1, assess risks and vulnerabilities. Don't just be blinded with a smooth flowing of activities in your business. Look out for those risks and vulnerabilities that could easily happen to your business. We've mentioned about cyber threats. Recently, somebody hacked into our bank account, the company bank account, and bought things from Ireland. And I walk into the bank, I see someone has been removed. On investigation, somebody had hacked in there and bought stuff from Ireland. So the cyber threats are real, and fortunately the banks are taking it up and engaging cyber experts into their systems. Secondly, and we are now talking about how to grow and create business resilience. Number 2, define business objectives. And those are the ones that make you unique. They clearly define the business objectives that need safeguarding during disruptive events. It can be competition or anything else. And identify critical functions, key assets, and essential stakeholders. Those clients that you feel you can never lose. What can you do? I mean, companies or businesses oftentimes at the end of the year give some own special events, invite them and give them specials in those days. Number 3, develop risk mitigation strategies. Create tailored strategies to address vulnerabilities, including preventive measures and responsive actions based on the risk assessment. Number 4, implement business continuity measures, integrate protocols, procedures, and response plans into the resilience plan to minimize downtime and maintain service delivery even when faced with disruptions. Establish communication protocols. I like it the way it's being done nowadays, where big businesses or even big organizations set up clear communication protocols where they have a specific person to communicate or disseminate information to their employees, customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders. I like it even in Church of Uganda, where now we have such desks. Effective communication is crucial for coordinated responses. Train employees. Number 6, train employees and conduct drills. You know, you work in some offices and you are never even greeted or welcomed. And so there needs to be some training to our employees to be receptive to our clients who walk in, or even those from a distance. Number 7, maintain data backups. Regularly back up critical data and store it securely to ensure swift restoration in case of data loss or system disruptions. I remember in 2001, I had a number of people I was demanding from, and then the computer system broke down, and I lost a lot of data. And I learned my lesson, because I could no longer demand any money from anybody unless they were trustworthy and faithful, that they came and told me, okay, this is how much we owe you. I couldn't tell. So maintain data backups. And also, not only of those that you demand or that demand from you, but many other things, so that information for the company is well kept. Monitor and review, continuously monitor the business environment, reviewing and updating the plan periodically to adapt to evolving threats. There are so many threats around us. Monitor external factors such as regulations. Every other month, we have almost new regulations that come up. How abreast are you with them? Technology trends, customer needs, and competitive landscape, and to anticipate potential risks. So you can measure your business resilience, and I will just mention them in brief because our time is fast spent. You can, how to measure your business resilience. Your response time when there is a challenge. How long do you take to respond? Recovery time from a challenge. How long would you recover from a challenge? Adaptability and flexibility. How adaptable and flexible are you to changes? Risk management. How are you buffered up to prevent any risks, potential risks that are available to your business? Financial stability. Evaluate how well your business maintains its financial well-being during a crisis. The ability to generate constant revenue, maintain cash flow, and manage expenses is critical during unexpected events. The supply chain. Evaluate your business's ability to maintain a stable supply chain during unexpected events. If your suppliers are unreliable, consider adding new or additional options to your network. And lastly, employee morale. Identify how well your organization retains how your business retains the employees during a crisis event. If it struggles, then it could be that the employee morale needs improvement. Business resilience is all about how well you can foresee and plan for potential risks. But don't just plan ahead, practice ahead to keep your workforce on its toes. Lastly, building resilience in the business place to support your employees. Build resilience in the business place to support your employees and culture. When you build resilience by creating a positive work environment and a culture of resilience and providing personal development plans for your employees, you can improve productivity and engagement, avoid burnout because everything is just around you, or maybe overburdening some employees, and increase employee loyalty and job satisfaction. Let your business have a culture that will attract clients as well as employees. Every business is unique as per its culture. Thank you very much, and thank you for bearing with me up to the very top of the hour. But I bless the Lord that we've been able to share together. Thank you for your invitation. Back to you, our moderator. God bless you all.
Amen, amen, amen. God bless you too, dear Engineer Moses, for such a wonderful sharing that you have given to us. Friends, let me see in the chat room. Let's clap our hands and we thank our Engineer Moses for really such great words of wisdom that he has given to us this evening. Wow, what an evening it has been. Even the noisemakers. Everyone was really very, very quiet and just there taking notes and understanding. Some of you are bringing questions in my inbox, which I will be able to deliver to Moses. Some of you were trying to deliver questions, and after delivering, say, this one has already been answered, but still I will read them to Engineer Moses. Engineer Moses, you can see in the chat room how people are really very, very much appreciative to the wonderful sharing that you have delivered to us. We bless the name of the Lord for you. Just a few questions that I've been able to receive in my inbox. Probably if you are there and you're still having a question, please you can still bring it in real quick. Engineer Moses, I would like you to come back and get through these 3 questions that have been able to come in my inbox. Some of them, perhaps you have already attended to them, maybe for the sake of just those who came late. Like one, someone's telling me, thank you, Engineer Moses, for the sharing. Do you have any personal experience of resilience in business you can share with us in your 25 years of business? At one point, of course, you tackled that. Another one is asking. Let me just read
can I respond now?
Let me just give you the other 2 so you can respond to them at once.
Okay. Now, personal experience is what I've received. The other 2, can I have them also too?
Yeah. The second one is this, that how do I determine that I am ready to settle in business, so I can quit employment? Since you worked only for 1.5 years, then began your business, and you've been there for 25 years. Then the last one, to which also you have tackled, that's how can business leaders foster resilience in the teams that they're doing business with? Over to you, Engineer Moses.
Sorry, I didn't get the last one.
The last one is asking that how can business leaders foster resilience in the team they lead business with?
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'll begin with the first one, personal experience. Well, like I mentioned, it's a whole 25 years when I've been at it, and indeed a lot has happened. And the most recent one was the COVID one. What I can assure you is that during the COVID time, you remember it was very, very, very hard to, it was a totally different time of business environment. But I had to adapt very, very fast. Interestingly, I think in the recent 5 to 6 years, the COVID period, I did more business than I've done even thereafter. Because I changed a lot in the way I was operating. I do some bit of importations. And so I was faced with a scenario now. How am I able to get in the equipment or supplies that I always give out to my clients? And most of the gadgets that we deal in were very, very much required around that time. And so the demand was so high because people now had gone online, and most of the gadgets I deal in facilitate that. So I had to work to think out very, very fast. But what I can assure you is that having now thought through the processes that I could now engage so as to continue with a constant supply, I was able to continue receiving the equipment, and people would would come from far and wide to pick them from my home, not even me delivering them to them. They would always find a way of being able to find them from my home. Definitely offices were hard to get to, and they were closed anyway. So I shifted my office over to home, and I operated, and I loved it. And oftentimes, around that same time, because I live in Makerere and my offices were just in town in the city center, sometimes I needed to go to the banks because my banks also were close to where my offices were, and for them they were open. So I would ride my bicycle A person is being able to use to maybe pick a border or drive a car to town. I was now riding a bicycle. And some people started calling me Omusajja w'eggaali ayiseewo on the village here, the children who never knew my name. So that is how I was able to adapt. I changed from whatever. I remember one time a client of ours called me and he was in Mengo. Getting to Mengo, we worked on the I worked on the equipment, it all got well. And he told me, and I didn't have by then I had not gotten a fully functional bicycle. And I'd walked there. And he told me, now I'm in Ntinda. There is another station where you need to work. Can you believe I walked from Mengo to Ntinda and back? And I enjoyed it. It never killed me. So being able to adapt is very, very important. I would give you another longer story in the past where we lost. We didn't just lose little money, but it was in hundreds of thousands. And everybody was saying, I think now they're finished. They will not continue in their business like they've been, especially the competitors. But I hung in there. We hung in there. It took almost 10 years of resilience in business. When every other person was suggesting, okay, why don't you find a job? Why don't you do this and the other? And I was even being offered a job out of the country through one of the friends that I'd been trading with so closely. But I said no. I began this thing and I want to see it even grow and survive past me. And so I stayed in there and it's still running. We were able to recover from it and we bounced back. We never decided to fall back, but we kept falling forward as we grappled with the situation until when we were done. Now, question number 2 was determine when you must now move out of your employment. With me, it was a bit different because when I was at university, I prayed to God. Now, I'm going out in the field and I was quite involved in church work. I don't want to be thrown somewhere where it will hamper me to continue serving you in church readily. And I wanted something close to where my church, a church where I've been now for 34 years. I wanted to still keep in the same church, in the same fellowship. Because the first day I stepped at Makerere, I joined that church and I've been there ever since up to now. And so I pray to God that give me wisdom on how I can do it to remain in the ministry that I've been having in my church and not be diverted to a far off place where it won't be possible. Now, at that time, I was in my final year at university and I had already got my fiancé, and so soon would get married. A few years down the road would get married. So what I did was to pray to God and seek his face, and at some point he spoke and said, okay. It was through a dream, by the way, and it came like next year, because that was 1995. Next year, you will marry. And when you marry, the following year, go private. That was the dream. That the following year I was to marry, and the following year I was to go private. So when that dream came out, I kept praying about it and looking out for the signs of its coming to pass. And for sure, we finished in 95, graduated in 96 in January, both of us with my fiancé, and in October and November, we had our introduction and the wedding. Now, when I was at my first place of work, fortunately, when I was about to finish university, I walked into this office where they were saying no job vacancies, no job vacancies, and I forced myself to the MD's office. Forcing myself there, The secretary asked me, but haven't you seen what is written on the walls? I said, well, but I still want to share with him. And I walk into there. And the gentleman gave me a job in the first 2 minutes. And I reported to work the following Monday. And yet I was still at university, but I'd finished with most of the work that I needed to do so as to graduate. So when I began there, towards end of 95, again, I started working, and this was a very, very good field. They said, no, I don't want to keep in employment for long. And basing on the other dream that I'd had, the following year I would go private. I worked very, very fast to see that I gained the business acumen that I needed to now step out in the following year, that was 1997, after our wedding in 1996. And indeed, that's what happened. I was very, very keen to learn how business is run while with my boss. Unfortunately, in my department, I was the only one for most of the time. They would always bring people and people would go away. It was mainly Indians. There were no blacks. So at the end of the day, in July 1997, I just tell my boss, I think I call it quits from here. I'm moving on. He couldn't believe me because I'd worked for only 1.5 years. But anyway, he was also stuck because I was the only person in that department. But anyway, I moved on. But with good business acumen that I'd seen with him. He was an Indian. And you know, Indians they're really quite good with that. So as you serve, wherever you serve, try as much as possible to understand how business is run. Because if you are employed, it means you have a boss above you. See how they do their things. And that is why the company or the business has been able to survive up to that point. Besides that, also consult widely, read about businesses, be open to information. And before you know it, you'll be able to determine when you're actually ready. Some people actually, what they do, just like our people in the Western world often do, they don't have one job. So in this case, you may have that job, but again, start something small. I keep joking with my staff that you people, you need to be very, very careful as you handle the business here, because you never know, after you've left here, you may want to set up a stall, even if it is a tomato stall, and you fail just because you didn't bother to learn from how we conduct our business from here. So be very, very intentional, learning the skills of business, and also looking for opportunities out there. With me, one of the things that have helped me a great deal, I'm doing business in the line of my profession, and I love it. Whether there is money or not, I enjoy waking up and going out there and executing my duties in my profession. So sometimes it may be that actually God will help you. You'll be helped. You'll thrive best in your profession. So look in your profession. What is the need out there? By the way, the word business comes out of the business comes out of the need in a place where you are. What need is there? And by addressing that need, then you are creating business for yourself. So establish a need in a community, establish a need somewhere, and you will surely be in business with those people. Number 3, business leaders. I forget a bit how it was framed, but I think it was something to do with building up business teams. And it's something that we tackled a bit before, that don't be too removed from your staff or from your juniors. Try to interact. Once in a while, I've had to take my staff for fish. We go to fish. We go for fish in Gaba. And you have an afternoon or evening out there. where you just unwinding and tapping into them and they tapping into you. And, that kind of like brings them close. You get to know them better other than in the routine of the office. Building teams. I mean, I see organizations taking out their staff for training, taking out their staff for vacation. Such helps to take away people from routine, and you get to know them better. You get to network with them better. Yeah, I hope I've been able to answer that last question well, because I couldn't recall exactly what he meant, but at least I could see business leaders, and they wanted to know how to connect with the bosses, I think, and the bosses connecting with their staff down. Thank you very much. Over to you once again.
Wow, wow. I could just sit and just keep on learning and keep on learning and keep on learning. Such great wisdom flowing from you, Engineer Moses. Thank you very much for allowing God to use you. Once again, friends in the chat room, let's appreciate Engineer Moses for really doing justice to this topic. I am glad that we have kept in up to this moment. At this moment, allow me invite Reverend Benjamin. Let me invite Reverend Benjamin. I think he has just left. So let me invite Dixon to give a vote of thanks and also give us the final remarks as we. Reverend Benjamin is back. Reverend Benjamin, I will invite you to give us to give the preacher, speaker, a vote of thanks, and also to give us the final benediction. Thank you very much. Over to you once again. Thank you for turning up for this fellowship. Yes, Reverend Benjamin.
Let's pray. Before we pray, I want to thank God for our brother, Engineer Moses, for the